Part of how Senator Cory Booker responded today after the debacle at the White House. Quote, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance didn't show strength today. They showed weakness. They belittled a giant and showed just how small they are. A weary warrior was before them, a beleaguered man who has lost thousands of his friends and comrades to the unjust and illegal aggression of an authoritarian leader. They showed no grace, no magnanimity of spirit, no diplomatic acumen. They were small bullies with big titles, and they disrespected the history and legacy of the nation they lead. Today, Donald Trump acted more like Today, Donald Trump acted more like Russia's Putin than America's president. Joining us now is Senator Cory Booker, Democrat of New Jersey. He's a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator Booker, I'm really glad you could be here tonight. Thanks for making time.
Thanks for having me on a really awful day for our nation. Frankly, it's an awful day for Ukraine and our nation. The one nation that really is celebrating right now is Vladimir Putin in Russia.
What concerns you the most about that? What, for Americans who don't necessarily think about foreign policy that much, who don't think about America's role in the world, or if they do, don't think it affects their regular lives very much, what concerns you the most about us apparently abandoning our global stance of the entire modern history of our country and instead lining up with Russia and turning against our democratic allies?
I had a European leader in my office who came and asked to come meet with me privately to express his distress over Ukraine, who told me about what does it say about our world that for the first time to his knowledge we've ever seen in a UN resolution around the Security Council, America side with China and Russia in condemning what Putin did and not their European democratic allies. We are seeing a world shift right now that belies what Republicans and Democrats have been saying in lockstep. We've taken trips together over into Europe to stand with Ukraine. We've had Zelensky multiple times meeting with us as senators in private, him receiving standing ovations. We had a joint session of Congress where he addressed us and we stood up, and people have said time and time again that this is a stand not just in defense of Ukraine, but defense of democracy. And if we lose in Ukraine, then authoritarian leaders around the world will be more emboldened, and America will be dragged into more and more conflicts defending democracy against autocracy and authoritarianism. So this is a significant moment and a significant shift in American history where we have our president who is taunting a world leader, lying about his approval ratings, lying about who started the war, lying about who is the dictator, accusing Zelensky of being a dictator, not the obvious one in Vladimir Putin, taunting him before he came in. This is the guy who was impeached once. One of his two impeachments was over him trying to extort Zelensky, withholding weapons unless he got commitments to do his political bidding in his attacks against Joe Biden. This is a sad day for our nation. This is a shift in global geopolitics, and this is something that I am praying and hoping that we can overcome. But unfortunately, we're seeing a Republican Party right now that would rather bow to political pressure than stand tall for policies and principles.
Well, on that point, we have seen, for example, Senator Roger Wicker speak pointedly about Vladimir Putin and speak pointedly in defense of Ukraine. We saw him meet this morning with Volodymyr Zelensky and post a tweet of him shaking his hand and talking about how much he supports him, saying how much he was there to support him. He just quietly took that down after what happened today in the Oval Office. We saw Lindsey Graham go from meeting with Zelensky this morning and praising him and talking about his support for him to demanding his resignation as soon as Vance and Trump put on that display today. We saw Marco Rubio, who is until recently considered to be sort of a realpolitik Republican on foreign policy issues in the United States Senate. He sat there inert in the Oval Office today, saying nothing. Looking green, and then put out a boilerplate North Korea-style tweet of praise for Donald Trump as soon as it was done. What do you make about hope for Republicans showing any sort of resistance here? Is there any?
You know, again, this is a shift in our politics that The Senate used to be a place where, right or wrong, people would criticize a president when they stepped out of line, even one of their own party. And here is a situation that is so grave, and my colleagues know this because we meet with these leaders. I was in communication today with an Estonian leader. This has struck fear in their country because Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Moldova, these countries know the threat of Russia and worry because Putin is using the same rhetoric with them he used about the Ukrainian people. This has grand implications beyond just Ukraine. And we know our history, but yet are failing to learn from it. If there's ever a time for political courage, even if it means undermining one's ability to get reelected, this is a time for courage. And we know from our history, when good men do nothing, that is the ingredient that is necessary for evil to be triumphant.
New Jersey U.S. Senator Cory Booker. Senator, I really appreciate you making time to be here tonight. It is, as you say, a very difficult day. Thank you.